When I was 5 years old, the world was still small. It was my bedroom, my mama's hands, and my daddy's laugh that made me feel safe. I believed in magic, in happy endings, in the good in people. I spent my days twirling in my pink dress, holding tight to my stuffed bunny with the missing eye, certain nothing could ever hurt me. But the thing about the light is, you don't always notice the shadows until they're already here. That day, I didn't know how to explain what happened. I didn't have the words. But mamas just know. I remember her sitting at the table, pale and quiet, the food in front of her untouched. She didn't look at me at first. And then she did, and in her eyes was something I didn't understand until I was much older: rage, fear, and a heartbreak she couldn't hide. I heard the whispers from the hallway. I wasn't supposed to, but I did. Behind a closed door, voices low and tight. I knew they were deciding something. Later, I would learn the truth. They didn't want my daddy to know. Because if he did, they believed he'd do something that would take him from me forever. So they locked the truth away. And just like that, my story became a secret. It didn't matter what I wanted. Holidays still came. Birthdays still came. And so did he. He would sit across from me at the dinner table, smiling like nothing had happened. Everyone else laughed and passed the rolls, but I couldn't taste my food. I learned how to look down, how to keep my hands still, how to disappear even when I was right there. In the mirror, I practiced the face I would wear. The one that looked fine. The one that fooled everyone. I learned how to laugh without showing my teeth. How to hide my shaking hands. How to carry the weight of what happened without letting it spill over. I didn't know it then, but I was already learning how to live with a mask I would wear for years. 7 years. That's how long I wore it. Long enough for my childhood to fade and my teenage years to begin. But the mask never came off. On the outside, I was just another kid in school, growing up, playing sports, smiling in pictures. On the inside, I was still 5. Still holding that bunny. Still living in a room where the shadows had moved in and never left. As I got older, I thought about it less. Or maybe I just thought I did. But certain things, smells, voices, a shadow in the wrong place, would pull me back like I had never left. It was like he was still there, haunting me. I tried to outrun it, to bury it under everyday life, but it had a way of finding me no matter where I went. I tried to have normal relationships. I tried to be present, to love fully. But I struggled with trust, with intimacy, with the feeling that I wasn't enough. And every time someone got close, the walls I had built came crashing back up. I didn't know how to let anyone truly see me, not the real me. When I was 21, I thought I found a way to quiet it all. My husband liked to party, and I told myself it would help me feel closer to him. That it would make me feel alive again. But drugs don't make you whole. They just steal more of you than you knew you had to lose. No matter how far I drifted, I never stopped being a mom. My boys were my whole world. I took them to school, to ball practice, to tournaments that lasted from sunup to sundown. I was there for bath times and bedtime stories. Being their mom was the one thing I knew I was good at. Then came the day my son told me he wanted to live with his grandma. I told him it was fine. I told him I understood. But inside, something cracked. I had been a lot of things in my life, but being a mom, that was the only thing that never changed. And suddenly, I didn't know who I was without it. When my son left, I thought maybe I'd enjoy the freedom. No early mornings. No endless ball games. No constant running from one thing to the next. But it didn't take long for the quiet to turn into loneliness. I was lost. I didn't know who I was anymore without being a mom every single day. So I threw myself into watching my husband. Following him. Checking on him in the middle of the night. I told myself I was protecting my marriage, but in truth, I was just trying to fill the void. And the more I chased him, the further away I felt from everything that mattered. The drugs came back, like an old friend I should have never let in the door. It was supposed to be fun, just a way to forget. But forgetting always comes with a cost. And mine was everything good I still had left. When you live in darkness, you start to get comfortable there. And before long, I was surrounded by people who lived the same way. People with nothing to lose. And when you have nothing to lose, bad choices come easy. I told myself I wasn't like them. That I could stop anytime. But one night, the flashing red and blue lights told me otherwise. In a matter of minutes, my freedom was gone. And all I could think was, how did I get here? I had never been in trouble before in my life. I thought I'd get probation. A second chance. But instead, I heard the words, 10 years. My knees almost gave out. And in that moment, I knew, I wasn't just losing my freedom. I was losing everything. Walking through those gates felt like stepping into another world. Everything was steel and concrete, cold and unwelcoming. I thought I was here to pay for one mistake. But deep down, I knew I was carrying a lifetime of pain through those doors. The days blurred together. The same sounds, the same faces, the same cold walls. I kept my head down, did what I was told. But inside, I was still screaming. Still broken. Still unforgiving. One day, a counselor asked if I'd join a program called SAT, Substance Abuse Treatment. I didn't think it would change anything. But something in me said yes. Maybe it was hope. Or maybe it was God planting a seed I didn't even know was there. For the first time since I was 5 years old, I said it out loud. What he did to me. How it followed me all my life. My counselor didn't look away. She didn't judge me. She just said, it wasn't your fault. And for the first time, I started to believe her. Forgiving him didn't mean it was okay. It meant I could finally let go of the chains he'd wrapped around my life. I put it in God's hands, and for the first time, I felt free, even though I was still behind the fence. When I walked out of that program, I wasn't the same woman who had walked in. I still had time to serve. I still had battles to fight. But for the first time, I wasn't fighting alone. In 2017, I walked out of those gates with a box of belongings and a new kind of freedom. The air felt different, warmer, lighter, but it was also overwhelming. I had dreamed of this moment for years, but no one tells you how hard it is to start over when the world has moved on without you. Life on the outside wasn't simple. Jobs were hard to find. People looked at me like I was still wearing prison clothes. I made mistakes, but I kept moving. I told myself, falling isn't failing if you keep getting back up. My youngest son was 12, living with his grandparents. I had turned my life around, but his grandpa still wouldn't let me be part of his life. Watching him grow up from a distance was like pressing my hands against a window I couldn't break. I smiled for him when I saw him, and cried when I didn't. There were days I wanted to run back to the life I'd left, to numb the pain. But I remembered where that road led. So I prayed. Even when it felt like God was silent, I prayed. I held on to the hope that He wasn't finished with me yet. I don't have a perfect life. I still stumble. I still hurt. But I know this: God can take the ugliest, darkest chapters of your story and turn them into something beautiful. My mama was right. As long as you're alive, there's hope. The valley didn't destroy me, it changed me. And now, I walk with the one who carried me through it. Because the same God who leads you into the valley will lead you out again. And we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love Him, who have been called according to His purpose. Romans 8 verse 28.